friends, and welcome to the den for the weekend video. Hopefully you guys all had a great week. I'd like to thank you all for spending a bit of your weekend with me. I do appreciate it. So we'll get right into it. One of my fans, Brent Conrad, suggested doing a UK-themed shave to commemorate Prince Philip. So I was sorry to hear Prince Philip's passing. As a lot of you guys know, and some of you don't know, I live in PEI, Canada, also known as Prince Edward Island, Canada, and we are named after Prince Edward way back in 1799, I do believe, just a couple years ago. And who was Prince Edward? Prince Edward was one of the sons of King Edward, or King George the Third, I do believe. I was doing some reading up on it. Anyway, so yeah, we were named after royalty here, Prince Edward Island. So, of course, we'll pass our condolences out, as I'm also Canadian and part of the Commonwealth of the UK. So, my condolences to Her Royal Highness and the entire family, and God save the Queen. So, the soap for today, going with English Rose, sent to me by a very kind member of the shaving community, who's also from jolly old England, and that is Dave Card. Thank you very much, Dave Card. Do really enjoy the scent on this soap. Frank Stromby at Whetshaving Stuff also had a hand in this. Great scent. I do really like Wickham's soaps. I should probably have like more of them, but it is what it is. Going once again with this fucking thing. The ever-ready handle with the whipped dog badger knot. Third time's the charm, is it? I mean, I used to use this brush all the time, and I don't ever remember it having any problems. Or not as many problems as it's having now. Jim at Jim Will Shave suggested soaking it for a good 20 minutes. And something tells me I did used to soak my brushes a little bit longer back in the day when I was using this more. Now I'm so used to using synthetics, and the other badgers I have don't really require a long soak time. So I really don't actually soak them that long. I just kind of get them going and then wring them out and shave and don't have any problems. So he suggested a longer soak, so we are going to try that. We're also going to keep the tub of soap next to me, but actually that's looking a little bit promising. Those tips actually are really picking up the soap. I think before just the outer tips were picking it up and it wasn't getting down the shaft of the hair. So Jim may have been onto something here. So we'll give it a try. Nice, lovely scent on this soap. Yeah. It's got pink rose, red rose, geranium. Those are your top notes, and that's probably way too long of a load. So you have pink, red, rose, geranium, and then in the heart notes you have grass, and the base notes you have wood and a bit of spice. So basically it just smells like potted roses. And you get the dirt and like the grass of your lawn. And I actually really like it. I'm not a fan of floral scents in any way, shape, or form. Floral scents are not my jam. They never have been since I started in this hobby, and they never will be. But I actually really like this one. And maybe that's because I do like the smell of roses. But yeah, it's a nice one. Which is why it's still in the den. Because if I didn't like it, then I would pass it on to somebody else. I would contact Dave and Frank and say, hey, look, I appreciate the gesture. This soap just isn't for me. Is it okay if I pass it along? And I'm sure they would say yes. I certainly wouldn't sell it, but anyway. So we'll get going into this shave. The 3 days growth today had a really craptacular week. Wednesday was very interesting after my last video. Couple people know what happened, couple of my friends, but yeah, we almost burnt our townhouse down. Or I shouldn't say we, I almost burnt our townhouse down. And but the fact that we're still in the same den is a testament to my firefighting skills and my son's firefighting skills. So what happened was I was making supper after doing that shave video. And anyway, what we're having pork chops, mashed potatoes, and green beans. There's no deep fat frying of anything involved. And so anyway, pork chops are just about done, and this lather is coming together really well. And by God, Jim, I think you may have been onto something, because this knot looks, right now it looks really chock full. So it'll be interesting to see how that stays in the knot. Anyway, so pork chops just about done. Mashed potatoes were done. I was actually in the process of seasoning them at our little kitchen island, just a little standalone island. And the green beans were done. And I was boiling them. And I was on the phone with my mom. I was talking to her while doing things, cooking, multitasking. So anyway, a little bit of the water, because I was using tongs to stir up the beans, because then once I dumped them, I was going to, season them, butter, salt, pepper, and then use the tongs, mix everything up, and then you just use the tongs to grab the beans, put them on your plate. So anyway, I was using the tongs to just give the beans a little stir, and some of the hot water came out of the pot and landed down in the burner tray. Keep in mind, we do have an electric stove, so like the electric burners, and it touched off a little fire down on the burner, which is not uncommon. It happens. You get shit down in the burners and stuff like that, and every once in a while, they touch off, and it's usually not a big deal. Anyway, I don't know what the Christ was in that burner tray, but especially since my wife cleaned them not that long ago. But anyway, it started rip-roaring, and this soap is taking a frick ton of water. I really loaded way too much, but it's boating really well. I think that's it for the water, though. I don't want to drown it in the knot. But anyway, it touched off a pretty good little fire in the burner, and I still had the pot on the burner, and I can't get to it because the pot's in the way. I'm trying to throw a little bit of flour in there because, we don't have a fire extinguisher in the kitchen, even though we should, but we don't. And, still kind of up in the air. It's technically not the tenant's responsibility. It's the landlord's responsibility to have one. They're saying it's the tenant's responsibility. I'm saying that's kind of bullshit and you're trying to cop out. But anyway, whatever. That is what it is. So anyway, I'm trying to get a little bit of flour in there just to snuff out the fire, because you don't put water on a on a grease fire if it was like a pot of grease. And since I don't really know what's burning in there, I don't want to put water on. So the flour is not getting it done, and the whole burner tray is just going at this point. And I'm like, for frig's sake. Going with the Edwin Jagger today, guys. Keeping it UK. Beautiful razor made in Sheffield, England. We got that, see if we can get the camera to focus on that. That nice barley handle knurling. It's just very intricate. We have the People's Blade in here. Wizamet, first use. Running low on Wizzies. I think I got 3 or 4 left, but I have like 5 razors now loaded with them. So anyway, back to the story as we start. 3 days of growth, and here we go. Oh yeah, that feels nice. So I'm trying to get flour in this goddamn burner, and I can't because the pot's in the way. So I grab the pot to lift it off the burner, and of course as I do that, because I'm not panicking, but I'm trying to be as expedient as possible. Some water sloshes out, hits the fire, and it flares pretty good, enough that I felt the burst of heat. But then it pretty much went out in the burner. That pretty much did it. And I'm like, okay, that worked out pretty good. And I was like, well, shit, there must have been some grease or some old olive oil or something down in that burner, because I, classically trained chef, I use olive oil a lot. So maybe there was some, spatter down in there and whatever. So I'm checking that out. And check that out. seem to hold the lather pretty good. I think Jim may have been right. This just may have needed a longer soak. Let's see if that retains this lather for the third pass. And I did hydrate this pretty close to the edge of too much, so keep that in mind. But anyway, I'm checking out the burner. Everything's good. It's out. All is well in the world. Keep in mind, I only have one eye. My field of vision is kind of small, so I tend to get a bit of tunnel vision. So I'm looking at that burner, making sure everything is good. I don't notice that the fucking range hood's on fire. Up underneath the range hood. So I finally look up, because I could still smell smoke and stuff. So I look up, and sure enough, the range hood is going. Because, you know, the range hood does collect stuff, grease and stuff from cooking and that. And it's not just like on the easy surfaces to get out of the range hood. It's like all in the guts and underneath stuff. And that's where the flames are coming from. And I'm like, oh shit, what the Christ do I do now? And it starts going, and it's going pretty good. So I'm hollering to my 20-year-old to come down and help put this thing out, because I'm trying to get flour on, I'm trying to get a bit of water up in there. And of course, I mean, it's next to, it's a very hard location to get at. That's where a fire extinguisher would have came in handy. If I would have had one, I would have deployed one immediately. But I didn't have one, so I'm hollering to him. There's no answer. He's not responding. He's not coming downstairs. It's getting worse. It's getting smoky. At this point, I have 911 dialed on my phone. And I'm just about ready to hit send and call it in, and then scream to the kids, and then try and find the fucking cat and get out, because it was getting pretty intense at this point. And but in the back of my mind, I know this is stupid and we should have got out, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, this isn't out of control yet. It's still just in the range hood. And if I can get him down here, I think we can handle this. Because I know if we would have left and just let it keep going, it would have caught the cupboards on fire. They almost did catch. Actually, the front bottom leading edge of one of the cupboards is scorched a little bit. And up underneath the cupboards is scorched. Like they were close to going up. And if we would have left the house, they definitely 100% would have gone up, and we probably would have lost the kitchen. And Lord knows what else. And our bedroom is right above the kitchen. So anyway, finally he heard me. He came down and we were able to get it out. And but it was pretty fucking touch and go there for a bit. So anyway, of course, then I had to call the landlord and say, yeah, we had a bit of a problem. But luckily the damage was just confined to the range hood. The stove is fine. There's a bunch of melted plastic on it, but we got that cleaned off. So just confined to the range hood and underneath the cupboards. They're a little bit scorched, but they're not like burnt. So a coat of paint. And that'll take care of that. So got really lucky. Anyway, he asks if I have tenant insurance, and I don't, because when we moved in right before the pandemic started. Things kind of went sideways. It's the farthest thing on my mind, and I need a shit ton of information from the landlord to get tenant insurance. Because he asked me if I had it. I'm like, no, I don't. But, I mean, and then he's like, all right, we'll look into that and then call me back. And then here's where it gets weird. So I looked into it, and sure enough, as I found out, yeah, I need to know, like, basically everything about this place. You know, when it was built, kind of electrical service it has, a shit ton of stuff. So I was telling him that on the phone, and then he kind of cut me off, and he's like, oh, well, whatever. And then he's like, well, how much damage was done? And I'm like, well, basically just the range hood, and maybe, you know, a little bit of paint on the underneath the cupboards maybe needed, but that's about it. So anyway, he sent a guy to look at it. Had to replace a fuse because it blew out our kitchen lights, because the kitchen lights and the microwave are on the same circuit as the range hood. Just doing a bit of cleanup here. And so of course everything there melted and that shorted out. So anyway, now they came and took the range hood. Smoke detector is bungled. That's no good anymore. So I'm supposed to bring a new smoke detector yesterday, and they're supposed to come back yesterday. Of course, they didn't show up, didn't call, so I don't know. Maybe he's a bit pissy, but it is what it is. Accidents happen. At the end of the day, I'm going to justify my actions by saying we saved his kitchen by fighting it. So, you know, I could have tucked tail and ran, and then we wouldn't be having this conversation because I wouldn't be here in the shave den. I know that. So, anyway, we'll see what happens. I'll probably be on the hook for the rain shit. I'll probably have to pay for it, but that's fine. I guess that was my mistake. Then going back to the tenant insurance, I still need all this information for him so I can even, you know, start to be covered in the future. He doesn't seem too interested in giving me all that information, which I find strange. But anyway, that's another story for another day. Great shave. Still happy to be here in my home. That was a really nice shave. The brush seemed to perform pretty good this time. It did eat a little bit of the lather, but not near as much as last time. And I think I overhydrated it. So I think that's the ticket for that one. I'll just give it a good long soak and it should be fine. Going with the matching balm minus the pump top, because if you guys remember, I broke this last time I used it. So I don't have the fancy top to the airless pump. I do have it, but I can't get it to line up with this and work properly. And you don't need it. All you need to do is just stick your thumb in there and see if I can do this on camera. And there you go. The stuff comes out this nozzle anyway, just then goes up through the fancy pump top, so really cares. Oh yeah, nice scent on the balm. I really do like the Wickham's balms. They're very moisturizing without being greasy. And they carry the scent a good long time. I'll probably still smell like this later on tonight. And this isn't my wife's favorite scent, but whatever, she'll be fine. She'll deal with it. And alright, so that was my UK themed shave everything from jolly old England minus the brush, because I don't have any brushes made in the UK. So that's it for me, my friends. Thank you for tuning in, spending some time with me. Do appreciate it. If you're liking this content, please consider hitting that subscribe button and hitting that notification bell. It helps my channel grow and helps the community grow, and I do appreciate every one of you subscribers. And those of you that are watching and aren't subscribed, I appreciate you as well. So until next time, my friends, be safe, be kind to one another. Most importantly, have a great day, even better shave. We'll catch you in the next one. Peace, and I love you.